I have Windmill Valley. So Windmill Valley, a game I've had on the back burner for some time. I wasn't quite sure if I was going to take a punt on this one because I thought, you know, board and dice have been hit or miss recently. I've not played any of the Danny Garcia games yet because they seem a little bit convoluted for me. But as the months have gone by, the more and more good things I'm hearing about this game. So I thought, you know, let's give it a go. And I'm really glad I did because I've been playing a lot of this game and enjoying it more and more. So mechanically, I love how simple this game is, but it's still interesting in the way those mechanisms work. So basically, you have this resource wheel or this action wheel with two different cogs on them. And these cogs are going to determine your actions. And the number of kind of rotations that these wheels make is up to the players. So you can choose to kind of keep the water level as it is, or you can choose to increase that water level to give you more spins. The more you increase the water level, you'll get some passive points that way as well, because you could potentially be helping the other players. Now, what I do like about this game is that I think there's 6 separate actions, or maybe even 7 with the additional ones, that you can take. And they are all very simple in their own right. Simply draft a card, draft an upgrade for your resource wheel, and take, place a windmill on the board, and so on. So all very easy to explain, but the potential for comboing and synergizing actions together really does come through. So for example, you might say, I'll go here to place my windmill down. That might contribute towards a race objective. That windmill will then unlock some further scoring on my player board. It will allow me to bury some tulips. The tulips will score me more in-game scoring points. When I place this tulip down, it'll give me some money, and so on. So again, you can string these actions together to make very powerful and satisfying turns. The engine building is very interesting, as you can literally upgrade your resource wheel to make the actions better. And even if there's an action that you're not that interested in anymore, you can completely overlap it with one of these upgrades and just be gone with that particular action and focus on something else. The game is fairly linear in what you want to do. Collect tulips, place them in rows of the same type and different types and columns, unlocking points that way. You can buy these characters, which are really cool, or even just draft these characters, which will either give you in-game benefits. So for example, it might say, every time you bury a tulip, you get a tulip, and things like that, which are very useful. But more importantly, you can take them as end-game objectives. So you can use them as 2 ways, either in-game engine building benefits or end-game scoring benefits. And I think the game, objectively, I can't really fault too much with it. I think the only criticism I have is that sometimes those objectives on the characters can be a bit swingy, because on your turn, you might not have any objectives that suit you, but on your opponent's turn, they have one that's going to double the points of all their tulips, and they've already completed that row, so therefore they're going to score another 15 points without putting much effort in at all. And I've played this quite a few times already, and that really does swing who wins the game or not. So I might have appreciated seeing those objectives maybe capped at a certain amount of points, lower than what it is in the game. Of course, I don't know the maths behind that decision, but it just feels a little bit wonky for me. And every time I've taught this, I've made that very clear, that you want to be keeping an eye out for particular objectives that are fitting your strategy. But still, despite that nitpick, the rest of the game is highly enjoyable. Again, combos galore, upgrading your player board is so much fun. The game also moves at a very brisk pace. You can play a 2-player game of this in 45 minutes to an hour. If you're teaching this at a 4-player game, it's probably going to take more than an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours for the first play. But it doesn't feel like you are sitting there doing nothing. All the turns feel fun. And yeah, it's just a lovely Euro that I can see staying around in my collection for some time, because it's actually very easy to get to the table and to teach, but it still hits all those sweet spots in what you want for a Euro. So definitely going to be a contender for Euro of the Year for me. It might just fall short because some others I've played are just a little bit better, but it's still probably going to be in the top 3. I'd be surprised if this doesn't make the top 10 of the year for me in overall 2024 releases. yeah, so all in all, it's a quality design, and it's made me want to maybe take a closer look at some of those other Danny Garcia games that haven't quite grabbed my attention. But if they're up to this quality, then I know they're going to be good. So that is Windmill Valley